A few weeks ago, my parents and I went to see the movie God Is Not Dead. Did anyone see that? It's a great movie, my friends. I know you probably don't go on the recommendations of a priest, but it was thoroughly enjoyable. It truly was. But it talked about the existence of God, whether he was dead or not. And then this college student proved the existence of God throughout the movie. But that's what Easter is, isn't it? That God is alive. But it's interesting, that movie came about because of a lawsuit, because of our college campus today are so anti-Christian that they're suppressing anything of a Christian nature. So they're forcing them out, and the lawsuits are trying to say, no, this is something that is owed me that I'm allowed to practice. But you know, my friends, Easter is not only about a man, the Son of God, who died on Good Friday and rose again 3 days later, telling each one of us that there is a life hereafter this earth. But it's also more than that. Diane Komp, a pediatric oncologist, described herself when she first entered the medical field as an atheist. But working with dying children, and I'm not sure if there's too much else worse, my friends, in the medical field, dealing with small children afflicted with cancer and watching children pass away at incredibly young ages. But she says this typical case that I will tell you just in a few seconds, she said she has seen dozens and dozens and dozens of these, and they're all exactly the same. This one girl that she talked about, she was 7 years old and her name was Anna. She got leukemia at the age of 2 and she fought it for 5 years. So at the age of 7, she had no more strength. But moments before this little girl passed away, she suddenly sat up in her bed and announced that she saw angels. A smile lit up her face as she described the beautiful singing. And then this little child, radiant with joy, laid back down in bed and passed away. Dr. Komp said she has watched dozens and dozens and dozens of these. And she said it made her realize that, yes, there is an afterlife. But you know, my friends, Easter is not only about what happens when we pass this life, but what happens today. We can't experience him there in the afterlife if we don't know him here, right? If we don't know him here. We need to know him in this life. In this life. There's an article I was reading this past week. It was written by a professor from the University of California Systems, and he was a geologist. And this happened several years ago when there was one of those large earthquakes in California. When the earthquake struck, he ran outside of his house because there's no basements in his whole neighborhood. And his neighbor, who had a child in her arms and then a small toddler was holding her, she had this incredibly terrified and distraught look on her face. And she said, "Joe, you're a geologist. For heaven's sake, do something." Some things are beyond our control, aren't they, my friends? Some things are beyond our control. And that's what the Easter message is. You know, the disciples watched their leader die on the cross, and their lives were completely shattered. And it's so clear in the tomb, it says, while it was still dark, they put that in there because Mary Magdalene, her heart was dark. There was complete sadness that had enveloped her life. And you know, my friends, I couldn't help but think, there is so much darkness in today's world, isn't there? There is so much darkness. What do we do with it? And to whom do we turn? We think we're so smart. We think we're so strong, we think we're so together, until that darkness hits our own life. Until that Good Friday hits our life, my friends, And then what happens? And then what happens? See, that's the Easter message. That's the Easter message right there. A soldier from Iraq lost both of his legs and was sent home to America to recuperate. And as he wrote, something died within him on that battlefield where he lost his legs. He said he laid in that hospital bed staring blankly at a ceiling for days on end. He refused to talk to anyone and refused to cooperate with the nurses and doctors who desperately wanted to help him. One day he had a visitor on Monday. This visitor strolled in without saying anything and played the harmonica, played a few songs, and then left. Same thing happened on Tuesday and Wednesday. He came in, did the same thing. Didn't say anything, just played a few tunes on his harmonica. On Thursday, the visitor said, "Does my playing annoy you?" "No," the legless soldier said, "I kind of like it." The next day, on Friday, the visitor was in an especially jovial mood and was playing more songs than normal. And he said to the soldier, he said, "Hey, soldier, why don't you smile once in a while and let the world know that you're alive?" The legless soldier said, "I might as well be dead as the fix that I'm in." The visitor said, "Okay, so you're dead. But you're not as dead as that fellow who was crucified 2,000 years ago, and he came out all right." Immediately, the legless soldier said, "It's easy for you to preach, sir, but if you were my fix, you sing a different tune." With that, the dancer stood up and he said, "You know, I know a 2,000-year-old resurrection is pretty far dim in the past. So maybe an up-to-date example will help you to believe it can be done." Then he went to pull both of his leg pants up as far as he could possibly go. And there, the legless soldier saw 2 artificial limbs. And then he said to that soldier that was laying in bed, he said, "A year ago," he said, "on Easter Sunday, I laid in the bed just like you. I too, a year ago, lost both of my legs in a battlefield in Iraq." He said, "And my world was very dark. On Easter Sunday, 2 nurses wheeled me down against my will to a mass that was taking place." He said, "But something happened during that mass." And he said, "During that mass, I said to Jesus, 'Come into my heart, I need your strength.'" He said, "That's all I said. But it's the first time I prayed sincerely in my entire life." He said, "Come into my heart, I need your strength." He said, something happened. He said, the darkness lifted, and I experienced the resurrection on Easter Sunday. And then he pointed to the legless soldier and he said, "So can you. So can you." Easter isn't what happens in the next life, my friends. It's what happens in this life. In this life. Jesus needs to come into our hearts, my friends, because we indeed need his strength. May we pray that prayer, that soldier, my friends, and may those prayers lift the darkness in our own lives and give us his strength. God bless you.